Welcome. You're listening to Coffee Break with Purdue Engineering, a podcast production from the Office of Future Engineers at Purdue University. In this podcast series, we discuss the many programs, majors, and opportunities found in Purdue Engineering through conversational interviews with staff, faculty, alumni, and current students. We hope you enjoy our show and it helps answer some of your questions about what it's like to be an engineering student at Purdue. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Coffee Break with Purdue Engineering, where we're going to be discussing Purdue's civil engineering major, also referred to as CE or just civil. I'm one of your hosts, Calvin Given, a current graduate student in electrical and computer engineering from Lakewood, Colorado.
And I'm your other host, Bryan and Akinmade, and I am a junior in electrical engineering from Miami, Florida. And some things I'm involved with on campus are I'm a resident assistant within the dorms, I'm a part of the National Society of Black Engineers, and a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. And this week we are joined by Tabitha.
Perfect. So my name is Tabitha, and I'm a current senior in civil engineering. And around campus, I'm involved in the Women Engineering Mentees and Mentors program, the American Society of Civil Engineers, and also Greek Life.
Awesome. Well, great to have you on, Tabitha. Thanks for being here. I guess, where are you from originally? What's some of your favorite things that you enjoyed from back home?
So I'm from Chicago, Illinois, and yes, actually Chicago, not a suburb of Chicago. And just growing up in Chicago, obviously, you have the big city. So I used to go downtown with my parents a lot growing up, whether it's like going to the Adler Planetarium, Shedd Aquarium, or anything like that.
Awesome. And so you came from Chicago. We get a lot of people from Illinois, but What made you come to West Lafayette, more of a small college town, as opposed to staying in a city for your college experience?
I think when looking at a lot of schools, a lot of people said you can always move to a city when you're older, but you can only live in a college town for so long. And also West Lafayette is a good distance from Chicago, so close enough to home to visit, but also far enough to be on campus and have my own life here.
And then what was your journey like kind of getting here to Purdue? Like what kind of led you to choose engineering? What kind of led you to choose Purdue versus other schools?
I remember it actually started in 7th and 8th grade. I did an engineering competition, and it was actually led by a civil engineer. So it was designing a future city. So we were able to go to nationals my 8th grade year. So that kind of had me interested in engineering, and then that kind of kept up throughout high school. And then coming to Purdue, again, you have probably heard of Purdue for some reason or another. Usually the rankings kind of speak for themselves. And also cost-wise, being out of state, it was comparable to my in-state school. Right. So that kind of really helped sell Purdue.
That's awesome. Same here cost-wise. It was only a few $1,000s a year more expensive out of state here than it was in-state back home in Colorado, which is crazy. Yeah. Definitely a testament to the affordability of Purdue.
Yeah, so I guess now we can kind of hop into civil engineering. How would you kind of briefly describe civil engineering to someone that kind of doesn't know, and then along with kind of the concentrations and how to get involved within the major?
Okay, so civil engineering, when I'm describing to people, is the entire built environment. So whether you're thinking of buildings, roads, wastewater treatment, really anything that kind of falls under civil engineering. The way Purdue organizes civil engineering is that there's 9 different areas of concentration that you can choose from. So ranging from structural, transportation, hydraulics, really anything that you can think of, there's a concentration for it. And then getting involved in the major, there are tons of different clubs. One thing that I like about civil is I think it's very collaborative, and also at the beginning of the year we do a civil engineering cookout, and each of the engineering club or civil engineering clubs specifically have their own tabling events. So right at the beginning of the year you can find out what there is. So there's the Institute of Transportation Engineers, there's one for structural, and there's the American Society of Civil Engineering in general, and you can really go into any industry for civil engineering. So currently looking for full-time offers, I'm kind of looking either at transportation, structures, or even the power industry. Right. So it's really very unlimited where you can go.
Okay, that's awesome. The cookout sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's like a mini Be Involved fair, but only for the civil organizations.
That's awesome.
And I guess, how did you decide to pursue civil? I know you talked about having that design project in 8th grade where you were designing a city. Was that kind of what sparked it off? And then first year engineering just kind of corroborated that desire to go into civil? Or how'd you choose civil?
So it's kind of like the civil engineering in 8th grade I thought was cool, but then coming into first year engineering, I didn't really know what engineering I wanted to go into. So it's going to like, we have engineering year major sessions. So like going to those and hearing from some of the civil ambassadors, but also hearing from like girls in my sorority or even just like general upperclassmen, kind of what the next like 3 years of coursework would look like, and also kind of seeing what industry looks like. So what their internships looked like, or if they were doing like a co-op, kind of what it looked like. Kind of helped me decide on civil.
Were you stuck between two, or was it kind of like a clear civil was the way?
I was looking at civil and industrial engineering.
Got you. That's neat. And then, what are some of your favorite civil engineering courses and why? And if you have any specific, lab spaces or professors that you personally really enjoyed?
I'd say some of my favorite civil courses have been my design ones for structural engineering. So some of the design ones have been like reinforced concrete design, or currently I'm in like my structural steel design. So I think those are the most interesting because it's most applicable so far in terms of my internships. So my last one, I was like actually working with the concrete code and like the wood code and steel code.
Yeah.
So I had that internship before my steel class, and now looking back, I was like using the steel code and now using it in theory. I'm like, oh, I remember when we were designing like this like connection, like I was able to use like this part of the book or something.
Oh, that's awesome.
So those have been my most interesting ones. As for labs, the hydraulics lab is pretty cool in the civil
the one
building.
that's got the waterfall in the civil building, right?
Yeah, we have the huge waterfall going down,
I've seen
and
that.
then we were able to I remember doing like the hydraulic jump and learning about that, and we had like our huge like water table, and like seeing like that go through.
Yeah.
So that hydraulics lab seems super interesting. Are there other labs in addition to that you're taking throughout civil, or is it just kind of one or two sprinkled throughout the program?
There are a couple main ones that everyone takes, and then some of the upper level courses, their labs are more like problem solving sessions. But as for more hands-on labs, we have a materials lab, which is my favorite because that's one where you get to actually make asphalt and you make a concrete mix, and then you get to do compression testing, and kind of who's ever was like the best wins. So that was really cool.
Oh, awesome. And I know, correct me if this is wrong or if it's not quite under civil, but I know a lot of civils are in concrete canoe. Were you ever in concrete canoe?
I wasn't part of Concrete Canoe, but that does fall under the American Society of Civil Engineering, where they have the different design competitions, and then you're able to go to the different symposiums and compete against other schools.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I know you kind of touched on internships and some of your internships. Do you kind of want to go into more depth about them? Like, how did you get them? Were they like through career fairs or maybe the civil engineering career fair? And how did you like them? And what did you kind of take away from your internships?
So I've had 3 internships. The first 2 I was able to actually find on LinkedIn, but my most recent one was actually at the Civil Engineering Career Fair. So I really like that one because it's like 170 companies that only come for Purdue civil engineers. So that's typically at the beginning of October, and I was able to get a couple offers last year, and then we just had ours this year. So it is very accessible. Like a lot of them send back alumni, so that's really cool. Especially if like you've had the same professors or same classes, you're able to like relate on that level at least. And then I've enjoyed my 3 internships. My first 2 were more in the energy industry. So one was more solar energy and more renewable energy. And then the second one was more, remember, natural gas pipelines. I was doing some erosion and sediment control plans. So that was really cool, kind of getting into AutoCAD. My most recent one was at a structural firm in Chicago. So that was really cool. That was looking at a lot of shop drawings and like reviewing permits and stuff like that.
And I guess, did you feel like you were doing meaningful or impactful work on those internships, or was it just kind of boring procedural stuff that who knows if it'll be around in a year or 2?
I really like about civil ones is usually you are able to jump hands-on onto like an actual project right away. So especially for the most recent one, like I was able to sit on the Q reviews and stuff that was like actually being built. And then some of my like either vibration testing was like going into like their actual portfolio like to use. So.
And then I know that I had a similar experience to what you were describing with the steel codes in one of my internships that I thought was super cool. My mentor in my internship after sophomore year at a manufacturing engineering company, he taught me how to do PCB design. And then I came back to Purdue, and that first semester junior year, I took an EPICS class. And we had two, lo and behold, design a PCB. And I was the one who had the knowledge for that. So not only did I get to apply that knowledge that I learned on the internship to the class, but I also got to teach other students, specifically the freshmen and sophomores that were also on the team, that skill, which was super cool just to see how both the courses that I was learning, or the information I was learning in courses, was applying to the internship, but also how the extra skills that I learned in the internships then applied to my courses later on in the rest of my academic career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely very rewarding to see like stuff you're doing in your internship go back into the class or vice versa. It's really cool. It makes me feel like I'm ahead of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry.
No,
Go
after
ahead,
you.
Brian.
Oh yeah. Did you want to talk about any projects, maybe research? I know you kind of mentioned some of the clubs or any of the clubs that maybe you're a part of that maybe you're with that maybe are not within civil engineering, or just clubs in general.
Mm-hmm. As for projects, one thing I like to talk about was EPICS. I did my freshman year, so that stands for the Engineering Projects and Community Service. So my second semester, I was able to partner with Kids Play Gym, and their entire focus is play-based therapy. So they have a bunch of equipment at their facilities and kind of games that help children with special needs or other things. So my group was called the Memory Game. So we created a fun memory game box device that's actually used at one of their facilities. So it's basically like Simon Says, in that it's a series of shapes and buttons, and then the shapes will illuminate different colors, and then the child is supposed to like remember the pattern and then press the buttons in the right order. Mm-hmm. So being able to work with a bunch of different engineering majors like right off the bat, and also since that one was like focused with children, we had some elementary education majors on our team to kind of get their feedback, and like they were able to bring our prototype like to their classroom and get feedback from them before we actually delivered it to our project partners. So that was really cool. And then as for projects within civil engineering, I remember we have a systems engineering within civil, and my team did redesigning some of the bike or pedestrian lanes around campus. Okay. So kind of getting a poll around campus of like what area people thought needed to be redesigned, and then kind of like doing different implementations that we thought would work, and then kind of finally delivering it to our professor with like which one we thought would be the best idea.
Okay, awesome. I know some of the intersections with bikes and pedestrians can get pretty congested, so that's cool you were working on that, and I assume it plays right into your potential career interests of transportation engineering, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're a senior now. Are you in senior design currently? What does that kind of look like for civil engineering, maybe what the project you're doing specifically?
Mm-hmm. For senior design in civil engineering, it is the last semester before you graduate. So I will
not
be doing
quite in it yet.
Yeah, so I'll be doing senior design next semester. But what I like is that it combines all the different disciplines of civil engineering. I know at some other engineering schools, they'll have you separated in between your concentrations. So structural will only work on a project together, transportation will only work on a project together. Right. But like in industry, that's not realistic. Right. So what I like is that they make sure that there's at least one of each concentration within your group project. And then I know you're working on an actual industry project that you work on throughout the entire semester.
That's awesome. And then, I guess outside of being a civil engineering student, what do you do for fun on campus? Who is Tabitha outside of civil engineering?
Around campus, I am pretty involved in my sororities. So whether that's doing different philanthropy events around campus or having leadership positions. So I was director of scholarship my sophomore year, and then I've been an academic chair my junior and senior year. Uh-huh. And then outside, I do like going to like football games, basketball games. Obviously, there's always stuff to do on campus. Yeah. So even if it's like a nice day outside, like I will grab a book and sit outside right by Engineering Fountain or something like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, the basketball games are definitely a little better than the football games, at least historically the last couple of years. But Purdue sports is just a really fun atmosphere to be at. And so I guess, well, since you both are in it, and I don't think we've talked about it on a different podcast episode, how kind of does the Greek system work at Purdue? Do you feel like what have you gotten out of it? What do you like about it?
You first.
Sure. I definitely think I've gotten mentorship out of it. Like I said, I came in not really knowing what I wanted to do. like in terms of first year engineering, and my big is a biomedical engineer. So that was one thing I was like, oh, that sounds really cool, but I don't want to do that full time.
Yep.
But we also had a lot of civil engineers in the house. I think at one point we had at least all of the engineering disciplines.
Damn.
So being able to talk to all of them, and I think it also helps me get more well-rounded. So I'm not only spending time with engineers,
Right.
especially like in daily life. So being able to like go home and not need to talk about my classes or civil engineering or engineering in general, it's kind of like a breath of fresh air sometimes.
Right.
Because like I love my major, don't get me wrong, but it's not something I want to talk about for 24/7. So I think, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with Tabitha. I'd say, like, I got a lot of from my fraternity, a lot of brotherhood. One thing big for me, like, in high school and stuff was, like, service. So I also did EPICS, engineering, products, and community service. So a big thing for me was service, and a lot of my fraternity is about service and giving back to others and hosting different, like, kind of, like, philanthropy events. So that was a big thing for me. But, yeah, I agree. I can't just always talk about engineering. I need to be able to talk to people about other things that I like and do. And I feel like they are very passionate in different areas that I am, too.
Yeah, that's awesome. You guys found fraternities and sororities that kind of embody your character and your core principles as well. And I totally agree with the point that you can't just talk and be around engineers all the time. That's why I joined club sports in the
Right.
Purdue Run Club.
Yeah.
And that kind of gave me the other exposure to other people outside of engineers, because no offense to engineers, but sometimes we can't talk to each other the best if it's not about core stuff. So just having that other community outside of having to talk about, oh, what'd you get on the homework? Or, oh, what classes are you taking next semester is really nice and helped me honestly find my community here on campus, especially back in the beginning when I came and didn't know anyone.
Right. So, yeah, I guess next question is, how is Purdue satisfied with your love for civil engineering kind of prepared you for your future? I know you said you went to the civil engineering career fair, but, yeah, how do you think it's kind of set you up?
I think so many people know Purdue Engineering, and the name kind of speaks for itself because I know it's, 5% of all practicing engineers come from Purdue. So at whatever
Which is a crazy
Yeah.
number.
Yeah.
So whatever company you're talking to, there's at least one Purdue like civil engineer. So if they're able to talk about like if there's a long-term professor like, oh my God, you had him, I'm like, oh yeah, he's still here, and it's really exciting to kind of bond on that level, and that at least gets your foot in the door.
Right.
And I think it also shows people know the value of a Purdue engineering degree. So kind of getting those either offers or even interviews, like they
Right.
understand your coursework and kind of where you're coming from in that regard.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then you're applying for jobs right now. How's that going currently?
It's pretty good. It's just a lot of either interviews or kind of like cold emailing some companies. So we'll see.
Yep, even at Purdue, I'll be completely honest, it's not a handed to you on a silver platter. You got to put in the work to get internships, to get jobs. But just with the Purdue network, alumni, and all the career fairs, usually you're able to get one as long as you put in that time and effort of doing it. So best of luck to you
Thank you.
in getting a full-time job.
Yeah, and thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today, Tabitha. We really enjoyed having you on. And our last question for you is going to be, what is one piece of advice that you would give to an incoming freshman that's looking at Purdue Engineering?
I would say make sure, yes, look at the curriculum and see the classes that you'd be interested in taking, but make sure if you're seriously looking at Purdue to make sure you can envision yourself on the campus and getting involved. Because Purdue obviously is a good school, but it will never feel like home if you don't get involved.
Right.
So I would say make sure you can see yourself here.
I think that's great advice. That's kind of how I made my college decision as well,
Same
was
here.
finding a place where I could feel like I could call home for 4 years, because ultimately it does become home for 4 years, or at
Yeah.
least by the fourth year.
Yeah.
And if you're happy somewhere, you're going to take advantage of all the opportunities that it has much more frequently than if you're just miserable in your room because you hate the location, hate the environment, hate the people, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Make sure you're happy at whatever school you're going to. And I guess I had one more question for you. I know we just said that was the last one, but what was your favorite thing? Did you have a specific project or just like a friend group or a homework assignment that you really loved about civil engineering over your time here so far?
I would say it is the community for civil. I like to say we're a very social major. So whether that's like the civil barbecue or we have an entire civil week where where the Civil Engineering Student Advisory Council has a bunch of just different things for us, and it kind of ends with we book out AJs, and then we have a little civil night out is really fun. So I have like my core friend group that I met like sophomore year geomatics lab. So that's kind of where we have tripods, and you have someone holding a yardstick like a good distance away, and you're like measuring it. So that's kind of how we bonded over that, and we've been friends ever since.
That's awesome.
That's super cool. Thank you so much, Tabitha. And I guess that concludes this week's episode. As always, please reach out to the Office of Future Engineers if you have any other questions.
Yeah, and we'll see you guys next week.